Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And guys, welcome. Here's what we're going to do. Of course, you guys have already asked some questions. I like to make it engaging. You can write into the chat. I've got it right in front of me. Uh, what we're going to do first is, of course, Lauren introduced me. The big thing that I want you guys to see is right here. You can join our free marketing community. When I say free, I mean free, no credit cards, none of that. What we did is we created a marketing community. I'm also a speaker for Grow with Google. So I usually get to travel around the country. I've been to Venture Cafe a couple times and worked with some different organizations there. Every time, no matter where I am in the country, I get the same burning questions. So we first created our YouTube channel, and then we said, let's take it a step further. Let's create a marketing community where we educate business owners, entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs on the finer things, really the elemental pieces of digital marketing. So if you go to briankaplan.com/join, pop in your information. One of the first things we have you do is build a buyer persona. Today, we're talking about email marketing. And when it comes to email marketing, you've got to know your audience. You have to know who you're sending to. So a buyer persona is really quintessential to making sure that your emails work and convert. I know a lot of you were asking how to get it to work, how to not nag them, things like that. Knowing your buyers, knowing your customers is really important. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to take a deeper dive into email marketing. I don't get too granular because I could speak for hours about email marketing. I've been doing it for over 10 years. But first off, we're going to talk about why email marketing. Why does it matter? Why would it work for you? And especially the situation that we're in right now, establishing connections is even more important. So we'll talk about that. Then I'm going to show you a case study. So actually a recent case study of one of our clients who was able to put together an email campaign and sent it out just a few times and was able to drive in $5,000 still just one email. So we'll look at that, and then we'll kind of derive some of the expert tips and tricks from that campaign that you can use and action items that you can take to go on your way and be successful with email. So first off, let's talk about why email marketing. When we're talking about email marketing, and just so you guys know, I'm not talking about sending an email from Gmail or from Yahoo or your personal email address. Even if you have purchased Google G Suite and you have an email address at your domain, I don't mean going into Gmail and sending an email. An email marketing campaign is actually using a service like Constant Contact, like MailChimp, like Aweber, Infusionsoft, HubSpot. They all have email marketing components. An email marketing platform actually is giving you a step up. And the reason being, when you send out an email campaign through an email marketing platform, I'll just use Constant Contact as an example. You sign in, you create the email, and then you're sending it out. You're sending it out from Constant Contact's servers. The big difference here is they have established a relationship with Gmail, Yahoo, MSN, all of those different email service providers. And what they've done is they've said, hey, if we're sending an email from our servers, we've already vetted the person, we're making sure that they have a good list. Your people should be able to open it up. So one of the questions we had was how to make sure emails don't land in the trash. One of the ways to do that is to work with a reputable email service provider like a Constant Contact or MailChimp. So that's number one. And I want you to just really get that in mind. I'm not talking about sending an email from Gmail and CCing people or BCCing people. That's not going to work and it's not effective. Now, some of you may know Neil Patel. Maybe you've heard of him before. He is really an amazing expert, a guru almost on digital marketing. He's consulted companies like Google on digital marketing. And so Neil says email marketing is still going strong today and is possibly the best strategy for your business. He's said that and he's stood by it for many years. And the reason being is because email has an amazing ROI. When we're talking about ROI, I'm talking about return on investment. And what's been found through the Direct Marketing Association, for every $1 you put into email marketing, you can expect a return of $38 and change. And that differs. It goes from the minimum of $38. I've seen $44 and change. But let's think through that a little bit. So why, Terry, you're on camera. So why would email marketing provide $38 return on investment for every $1 that you invest. Because when you're using an email marketing system, here's the deal. You're sending out not just one campaign, but a series of campaigns. If you guys have ever signed up for an email list with another business and a good marketer will send you one email, but then maybe in 2 weeks or a month, they'll send you a second email, and so on and so forth. Sending you a series of campaigns is going to help you because you're going to be actually working and engaging with that brand. And that's where email marketing bolsters brand visibility and loyalty. Some of you had questions about how do we get people to open, what times to send. Well, it's knowing your customers, but it's also knowing that you have to set a habit. And when it comes to email, people have habits. So let me ask you in the chat, how many of you have actually gone and checked your email today? Just give me a yes if you've gone and checked your email today. Now, give me a heck yeah if some of you woke up and checked your email within 30 minutes of waking up. Type in heck yeah. It's a habit. And what we're doing is we're capitalizing on that habit. So if we can form a habit of people expecting our emails on a certain day, a certain time, each month or each week or every 2 weeks, then what we're doing is we're playing to that habit. By playing to that habit, we're starting to get into the consumer cycle. We're keeping our brand top of mind. That's why you're seeing an ROI of $38 for every $1 you invest. So when we're looking at email marketing, you're also going to see that really when you look at Facebook and Twitter and the traffic that you're driving from social media, email marketing is 40 times more effective. Now, I show you the sources down below. You can look, but these are based on different research studies. And here's what the research studies are finding. Facebook and Twitter and any social medium is about noise, right? So you're going on Facebook. Facebook's showing you some information about your friends. You're keeping up with different topics that you like. You're probably seeing news updates. You're also seeing ads, of course, because that's what really builds Facebook and how they make money. But there's a lot of noise, right? So the average Facebook user has about 90 to 100 friends and then likes another 90 to 100 different things. So you're competing with about 200 different objects on Facebook or different sources of content on Facebook. And people live on the timeline or the news feed. So they're scrolling down, they're seeing what's happening. The likelihood of you going to a page or someone coming to your page was measured to be less than 2%. Whereas, and that's what we're calling it, is deliverability. So for instance, you make a post on Facebook, you press publish. Well, you're competing with all these other things that are creating noise, and your chances of showing up on the newsfeed are 2%. Your chances of them actually clicking to your page are less than 2%. So getting someone to interact with your brand and actually engage with you is very difficult. Now, you might get likes, you might get comments, that's great, but do they lead to sales? That's the question. And what we're seeing is that when you send an email through a system like Constant Contact, like MailChimp or any of those, you're guaranteed a deliverability of 90% or more. Deliverability means that when I press send on my email campaign, there's a 90% chance or more that my email is going to get into the person's inbox. So I want you to think of the inbox like an inner sanctuary, right? When we're giving out our emails, some of you, let me ask you, type in junk. Type in junk if you have a junk email that you sign up for random things. Type in junk if you have a random email that you use to sign up for things. It's the junk drawer, right? So mine is Deal Finder. And anytime I sign up for any kind of deal, you know, if I'm joining a mailing list, whatever, to get like a coupon or something like that, I'm using Deal Finder. That's my junk drawer email. So a lot of us have junk drawer emails, and a lot of consumers do. But if they give you their real email address, if they are so engaged, they want to learn more about your business, they want to really grow with your business, then that's where they're going to give you their real email. And if you get there, I call it the inner sanctuary. That's where deliverability matters, and getting into that inbox matters. You'll see why in a second. Now, when it comes to email too, the ability to personalize is big. Social media, you can't really personalize. You could say, hey, you could tag a bunch of people, but even that's disingenuous. Instead, we want to think about how we can actually personalize. And one of the things that you can do with email marketing is, of course, use a custom greeting. There's even the ability now to insert someone's name into the subject line. Think about this. You get an email and it says, hey, you, we have a deal for you, blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, AJ, hey, Donna, hey, Kathleen, hey, Scott, hey, Remy, hey, Anthony, hey, Ann, we have a special deal for you, open now. It's mentioning your name and it speaks right to you. And that's why personalization in emails drives such a higher transaction rate, 600% higher transaction rate, because you're speaking to the consumer. You're making them feel wanted. You're making them feel valued. And that's where what email can do. Now, also, visitors from email marketing. So when you send out an email and someone clicks to your website, we're seeing that they're 70% more likely to buy something than if they just found you on a search engine. And this is really having to do with consumer intent. A consumer who finds you online is looking for a solution, a service or product that will help to satisfy their need. When I speak for Grow with Google, I call it a micro moment. If you guys want to write this down, I'm going to type it in, micro moment. So I give you some stuff off the slides as well. A micro moment when someone's on a search engine is a moment in time when a consumer needs to know, go, do, or buy. So people are turning to a search engine like Google in their micro moments when they need to know, go, do, or buy. That's great, but you know what? They're doing their due diligence. And what I've been reading with Think with Google and other Google resources and studies is that people are fluid with their time. They might look at something right now. Right now it's 3:16 Central, where you guys are. They might check, they might look on the search engine, and then they'll come back to it. Maybe they leave the tab open and then 3 hours later they come back to it. Their intent isn't as deliberate as if they get an email and click the link, because they know that by engaging with the email, they're going to be brought to a page where they're going to find more information and something about it. So when people receive an email, and especially an email in their good inbox, not their junk inbox, if you can get them to click the link, that's a win. Because what it is, now I'm going to tell you something else. I told you micro moment. The other part of it is a micro commitment. I want you to write that down too. So a micro moment, as I told you, is for search engines when someone needs to know, go, do, or buy. When you send someone an email and you can get them to click on a link, that's a micro commitment. These micro commitments are getting them to take one simple action. Opening your email is a micro commitment because maybe you have a good subject line or you know that they subscribed for your email. Getting them to click on a link or a button is another micro commitment. The more micro commitments you add up, the closer they feel. It's building an affinity or a level of touch with your brand. The more they engage with your brand, the more likely they are to buy. Hence why you're seeing that people from email marketing coming to your site are 70% more likely to buy. So with that in mind, we understand the proofs in the pudding. Email marketing can be extremely effective. Now I want to show you a case study, and this is a real case study from a real client we have, and this is Meyer the Hatter. So Meyer the Hatter, if you guys have ever been to New Orleans, maybe you walked by their store. They're down in Nolens, and they've been a client for a while. They run a hat shop, one of the oldest hat shops in the country, right? And their sales were obviously crippled because they had to do business closure because of COVID-19. So they had to close their whole entire store. But what they did is they pivoted. You guys have been hearing pivot a lot. Pivot is, finding a new way to use what you have and to sell it. So they began promoting their online shopping cart. They had an online shopping cart. AJ, I see you have a hat on. Maybe you went to Meyer the Hatter. Hey, hats off to you too. So they went and began promoting on their online shopping cart. Specifically, they were using social, but then they were doing email marketing through Constant Contact. And what we did is this. We designed an email campaign that was sent out to their whole list. They have about 7,500 people on their list. It was the same email, but we just changed a few things. And that same email was sent 4 times. So it says Sunday to Thursday. It's actually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days in a row to promote the sale. It was an Easter sale. From that email being sent 4 times to that list, they netted over $5,000 in sales. 40% of the sales were on the last day. So some of you may be thinking, I don't want to pester my customers. I don't want to pester my clients. There's a way to do it where you can send to people who did not open, where you can resend and reframe the offer. From there, you can actually drive more conversions. It's all about engagement. So let's take a look and think about why this worked. First off, some science. We've got the idea of rapid fire processing. This is according to a study from MIT. So rapid fire processing is basically in the blink of an eye, it takes 300 to 400 milliseconds. But for you to process an image, for your mind to process an image, it only takes 13 milliseconds. So simple, stupid math on the back of an envelope, you can process nearly 30 images in the blink of an eye. So images are huge. One of you had a question, should I do more images or more text? The answer is both. But if you have good deliberate images, people are going to be processing them with rapid fire processing, get an idea really quick and be able to act on it. Now, another thing that's not on the slide, but 90% of the information that we process as human beings is visual. 90%. So for all of you, let's see, St. Louis, okay, guess what? I'm from Boston. You guys beat us in the Stanley Cup. I could show a picture of the Blues hoisting a Stanley Cup and it could say Gloria on it, right? Totally fine. I could see that and everybody in Boston could just fold into a fetal position. Or I could say, hey, yeah, someone won the hockey game. Well, a picture is going to tell us a lot more and it's going to evoke a reaction much faster. So that's where rapid fire processing comes in. Now, let me ask you, what does this image tell you right away? Type in the chat. What does this image tell you right away? Type it in the chat what you're seeing. I'm seeing busy, Ian saying shipping, small shop making it work, making money, lots of sales, busy. Volume, sales, going fast, busy, cool hats, shipping, open for business, all of those things. An image lets you interpret what it is. So you guys are all seeing different things as we look at this email. In this case, what it tells me is we're shipping. We're still open. You guys can still get our hats. Shop now. That's what it tells us. So a simple image can speak to each of us differently, but it can drive an action. Now, not only images, but then a compelling offer. If you've ever learned about copywriting or you've been looking into copywriting, compelling offer is very, very important. In this case, a compelling offer piques the interest of your reader to the point where they need to take an action. We're offering a full 20% off all orders of 75 plus. One time we show it, 2 times we show it, even more prominent down below. Take 20% off orders of 75 plus, use this code, and then we have an offer ends. We're making it an exploding offer, or there's time exclusivity, so you have to use it in a certain amount of time or you'll miss out. Those 2 things really, they're ingredients to a compelling offer. We're giving you substantial savings and you have to use it in a certain amount of time. So that's a compelling offer. The next thing in this email that I want to point out is a clear call to action. So a call to action is also known as a CTA. It's when you instruct consumers to take an action. I'll even bring it to a more, Lauren and I were talking about kids. I have a 3-year-old Bryce and a 5-year-old Olivia. I use call to actions all the time. Hey guys, eat your sandwich, eat your breakfast, clean up, brush your teeth, right? I know how to speak to them. I'm very straightforward and tell them exactly what I need to do because I know my audience. But if my audience, someone else, let's say it's an older audience, and let's say that I'm telling them, hey, you know, our audience for Meyer the Hatter might be a 25-year-old to 45-year-old gentleman, maybe 65. We have 2 different buyer personas. Either of those, I could say shop now and get 20% off. I could use a call to action, save 20% now. I could say save on your hats now. All of those are different types of calls to action. I'll show you about testing calls to action in a little bit. But I want you to take from this, 1, we had a powerful image. All of you interpreted it differently. We had a compelling offer, and we had a good call to action. We're telling them to do something. So with that, because we have a limited amount of time on this call, I'm going to jump right into some expert tips and tricks. So when you're getting started with email marketing, some of you are already using it. I know that you guys said you're using MailChimp, HubSpot. Use whatever you want. Use whatever's in your budget, whatever works for you. For me, having done this for 10 years, And having seen multiple platforms and worked with multiple platforms, I found that Constant Contact is one of the easiest platforms to work with. I love their deliverability. Deliverability, again, is when you press send, the percent chance that it's going to get into the inbox. Here's the thing. Using a service like MailChimp, their deliverability is just a little bit lower. Not much, but their global deliverability is lower because they're letting people use free accounts. When you offer something for free, especially for marketing where you can mass market, you're attracting spammers. When you attract spammers, your sending score goes down. When your send score goes down, your deliverability goes down. So it's very simple. Customer service, you get an actual person when you're calling Constant Contact. User experience, I've created emails, we create templates and do monthly emails for our clients, but our clients can do it themselves too. It's an easy drag and drop editor, and they've made it even easier. So if you want to email me, I can help you get started with Constant Contact. It's brian@briankaplan.com. Now, we talked about the power of visuals, right? 90% of the information we process is visual. And with rapid fire processing, we're processing an image like that. So here are some sites. If you want, you guys are going to be able to have the slides. If you want to take a picture of this now, you want to make sure that you're getting royalty-free visuals, royalty-free, and they should be for commercial use. They should be for commercial use. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I got time. A couple of years ago, I had someone working on my team, and I do a lot of events. Yeah, I'm traveling around the country. I'm doing webinars, everything. So we use our events calendar and post up our events, and we allow people to register. Well, the person on my team, I said, hey, I want you to use certain sites. Some of the sites that you're seeing here, Pexels, Unsplash, said grab photos from those sites that play into marketing, that talk about, digital marketing or owning a business. Well, they also took it upon themselves to use Google Images. How many of you have used Google Images and actually grabbed an image and used it in your marketing? Just type in Google Images. If you've ever used Google Images and you've grabbed an image on your website or in email marketing or your social media, I'm guessing I'm going to see a lot of Google Images because it makes sense. It's easy, right? You can go on Google, search for whatever you're looking for and get the image. Well, guess what? There are people out there that actually their whole game is they flood Google Images with images that are not to be consumed for commercial purposes or that require attribution. Attribution meaning you have to mention the person, the designer. One such designer put up an image of marketing. It was a sign. It was like a road sign that said marketing with clouds behind it. It looked cool enough. So the person on my team used it. Well, guess what? I didn't know that. I thought she was using Pexels and Unsplash. A month later, I get a letter saying, you're being sued for $8,000 because you've used 2 of my clients' images and have not attributed. That, my friends, was an $8,000 lesson in why you do not use Google Images. So I want you to take a photo of this screen and make sure you're using these types of sites that are royalty-free for commercial use so that you don't have an $8,000 headache like I did. You don't want it. You can also use animated GIFs. They're called GIFs. You can pronounce it GIF, whatever you want. This is an example of a GIF, right? And I grabbed this from cliply.co, and notice how I mentioned cliply.co. Their thing, their terms of service, you have to attribute anytime you use one of their images. So I have them mentioned below. There's also motionelements.com/free/GIFs. Both of those provide you with royalty-free commercial use GIFs. They're very powerful in emails. Using an animated GIF in an email is really powerful to get someone's attention. You can do it for buttons, you can do it for an actual photo, and people will click on it. They're going to, all of a sudden, they're going to be looking at the motion. It's their reptilian brain that's looking at the motion. Yeah, what a lesson is right, Grace. Okay, so of course, expert tips. We talked about royalty-free for commercial use and limited or no attribution. Check everyone. If you guys have used Google Images on your website, check the images. Check to make sure they're royalty-free and for commercial use and they do not require attribution. You don't want that headache. Number 2, as I said, don't use Google Images. Use those other sites. You don't want a lawsuit. Horrible feeling. Then some expert tips for compelling offers. 1, speak to your audience. So when we're talking about speaking to your audience, think about pain points they have, resolve the pain point. Leverage FOMO. If you guys have heard of FOMO before, fear of missing out. Fear of missing out. In that email, we said this ends at a certain time. There's a fear of missing out. If you've seen when you've registered for an event, it's been said, hey, get your seats while they last. Seating is limited. That's a fear of missing out. You don't want to miss out. So leverage FOMO. Also, make them feel special. This is an exclusive offer just for you, our valued customers or clients. The good thing about email marketing is you can frame your email marketing list as an exclusive list of insiders, of members, of people who are close to the business. And as a result, they're getting value out of that closeness. So make them feel special. Expert tip number 2, try these different compelling offers. Get exclusive access. So if you guys are giving an ebook, a swipe file, a series of videos, maybe it's a course that you've created, give them exclusive access because they're on your email list. Say, hey, just for you, exclusive access, but don't tell anyone. Number 2, obviously save X percentage, save X dollars. That's an easy one. The more you save, the better, right? It's not what you spend, it's what you save. Bonus offers, when you buy now. So it's almost like an upsell, right? Or a one-time offer. Hey, you're getting this email. We're going to turn it off at the end of the night. You can get this product and we're also going to throw in this. So for instance, my wife right now is totally into getting a puppy. And I guess a lot of people are getting puppies right now. So she's looking at like a Maltese puppy. And when we went on the site, I was really surprised. The breeder websites usually aren't that great. They're just like thrown together. Here's a picture. Here's the breeder had a beautiful picture, the name of the puppy, and then said, you're going to get a special puppy pouch. And the puppy pouch comes with all these different things. It was a bonus offer for getting a dog. Never seen that. And then exploding offers. While supplies last, limited supply until this time. Those are really good ways to create a compelling offer. So you're not just selling a product. I say, hey, you should use email. Listen, you should use email, and then I'm going to show you how to write the right subject line, when you should send and at what time, what is going to really drive people, what colors, what kinds of buttons, things like that. I'm making it compelling. I'm actually telling you an experience or a story. That's what makes it compelling. And then calls to action. So I've got a few tips for you here. Number 1, test, and test again. If you're not measuring, you're not marketing. It's that simple. Not only should you be looking at the metrics within your email platform, like Constant Contact, when we send an email, I can see opens and I can see clicks. And if I'm not getting the right clicks, then I've got to test again. Create what I call a bank of CTAs, of calls to action. Check out different ways that you can try to drive people to click those buttons, click those links. Test and tweak to optimize conversion. Change colors. Change your calls to action and the different words you're using. Change the images. Make sure those images link to wherever you want them to go. Number 2, know your audience. So I told you within our marketing community, one of the first things you do is build a buyer persona. When I'm working with clients, one of the first things I do is build a buyer persona. People need to know who they're talking to, especially with email. People are getting 50 to 70 emails a day on the low end. For me, I get like 250 emails a day. How are you going to actually speak to me and get me to open your email? So you got to know your audience. And once you know your audience, know the CTAs that work on that audience. For instance, if I'm selling something to an 18 to 25-year-old, I could be more kitschy, more tongue-in-cheek. Like if I'm a pizza place or something, I could say, get your grub on. But if it's, a 35 to 54-year-old, maybe I'm going to say, order now, place your order, right? Different audience and different way of handling them, different tact. And then expert tip 3. So here's some calls to action. If we're talking about just tact, add to cart, start shopping, order now, get your grub on, register now, grab your spot. All really defined by your audience. And if you have different audiences, segment your lists. We don't talk about it today. I don't get into the technicals, but you can segment your list and you can have your younger audience, your older audience, your female audience, your male audience. It can be anything. You can segment your list by just about anything. Their different interests, where they live, things like that. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to open it up to questions now. I see a lot of you were typing questions, as I was talking. And Lauren, I could definitely use your help to moderate through these questions so that we can get to as many as we can as quickly as possible.